welcome to Improbable Things. I'm J. Grace Pennington, and this is my podcast where I share 6 improbable thoughts before breakfast, and that would be 6 thoughts on reading, writing, or science fiction. So I've been gone a couple weeks, and it's really great to be back with you all today, and let's dive in. So I want to apologize for the extra week off. I had said that I was going to take the week before Christmas off just to focus on the holiday and family and everything, and then I ended up taking the next week off because we were super sick for about a week. And not only was I, of course, not feeling well, but my voice was not really 100%. I still feel maybe it's about 95%, but it's definitely a lot better than it was. So I have had this outline sitting around for a while with my 6 things to tell you all. So I will get started on number 1. I did get a lot of books for Christmas, and I am always so excited about that. There's always books that I want, that I'm interested in, and this year I got quite a few books, and some of them had been on my wish list for a while. I got Daniel Schwabauer's latest book, and he's one of my very favorite authors, so super excited about that. I also got some not reading books, but journal type books. My mother-in-law gave me a write the word journal, where you really just write down specific passages of scripture and your thoughts on them, and just a lot of different really awesome books, and I love that. It's one of my favorite gifts. But I do think it's hard to give people books sometimes, especially someone like me that has a lot of books. You might not know which ones they already have. But if there's a book that you love that you think someone else might like, I think it's always worth taking a chance because it's such an awesome gift. Love books. So number 2, on my writing, I wanted to let all of you know that I finished my novel Shows. I actually just finished it last night, I finished it on New Year's Eve. I don't even know what day it is, so I guess that was a couple nights ago, but my goal was to finish it by the end of the year, and I scraped by with the last maybe like 1,200 words at the end of the day on New Year's Eve, and it just feels so good to have that book finished, not finished, but the first draft. I've been thinking about it for so long. It's just kind of been bits and pieces of it in my head for years, and even though it needs so much work, I already know many things that need to be fixed, and there's a lot of things that just kind of feel off to me. I am just glad to get it out of my head and onto paper or onto a word processor and just be ready to, after I set it aside for a little bit, to get back to work on it and edit it. And I went ahead and sent it to my husband and to one of my beta readers just to get some other perspectives on it, let them have a look at it while I take a break, give me some thoughts so I can have some direction when I am ready to go back to it. I'm not exactly sure when that will be, but maybe February or March sometime. And number 3, in the meantime, I did decide I'm going to go ahead and refinish Firmament Eleutheria this month. I'm going to try to do it in the last half of the month. So this first half of the month, we're working on moving into our first house, and that's been a little difficult while we've been sick, but we're working hard on it. We still have a little less than 2 weeks to do that, so not too rushed, but I don't want to add anything else right now to my plate, so I'm going to wait till after we're settled in. I really only need like 6,000 words, so it won't necessarily be that hard. It's just discouraging after I've already written it once. But I think the last half of the month, at some point, I'm going to set up a goal for that, and I'll keep you guys updated as to what the goal is when I'm doing it, and excited to, again, finish it and get moving on those revisions and work on getting that book out there. Lord willing, I can get it out this year. I know it's been way too long. So I'm really excited to share this one. The number 4, kind of along the lines of writing, something a little different. Our church put on a Christmas pageant over the holidays. It was a couple days before Christmas, and me and my girls got to be a part of it as far as performance. We got to be angels in the angel chorus that visited the shepherds. But I also got to help write it, which was really special for me just because one of the elders' wives reached out to me a few weeks before and asked if I would like to help write it. And that just meant so much to me just because, I mean, we're fairly comparatively new at this church. We've been going for a couple of years now. And the fact that she thought of me as a writer and wanted my input was just really special to me. It means a lot to me to be known as a writer and to have people, consider that of me. And so not only was I really excited to help the church and to help with the community outreach, but it was just really, really awesome, honestly, to be thought of as a writer and asked to participate in that. So number 5 on reading, I finally finished Atlas Shrugged last month. It was one of my last books for the year, and it had taken me quite a few months to get through it. So I'm really glad that I read it, and I'm really glad that it's over, even though I did enjoy it for the most part. It was just, a lot to get through. The chapters were also very long, which I don't know about you, but for me, long chapters make it harder for me to get through a book because I just don't, it's just a psychological thing. I don't feel like I'm making as much progress as if there's short chapters. Like, it's a little bit demoralizing when you're turning. I don't always turn and see how many pages were left in the chapter, because that would tell me whether I could read the whole chapter in one sitting or whether I would have to find another stopping place. And some of these chapters I would be turning and turning and turning and turning and turning, and it would be like 60 plus pages and still not to the end of the chapter. It's like, oh my goodness. It would take me days to read a chapter sometimes. And even if it's the same amount of words, ultimately, I've just found that shorter chapters just makes me feel more accomplished. So something to keep in mind as a writer, I guess. But anyway, I did finish it, and it was very interesting. And again, even though it was long and the chapters were long, it was enjoyable. I'd never felt like, oh, like, I'm sick of reading this. Like, I didn't have that feeling about it. It was very interesting. And even though there was a lot that I completely disagreed with, at one point, I think one of the characters makes a speech on the radio. And the speech went on for 60 pages. This man apparently was talking for like 3 hours, I think they said later. And so it's just pages and pages and pages and pages of nothing but this man talking. And it's this whole philosophical diatribe that basically lays out, as far as I can tell, Ayn Rand's complete societal and philosophy and moral philosophy and everything else. And it was a little exhausting to get through, not only because of the length, but because it was about 50% truth, things that would have me going, oh yes, like that's good, and about 50% complete falsehood. Like, the philosophy was so bad. So anyway, but it's very interesting. I think it was a good time to read it, and I'm glad that I did. So number 6, just kind of along those same lines, talking about philosophy. Between Atlas Shrugged and then a podcast I listened to, it's got me thinking about facts versus philosophy. So I can't remember the podcast I listened to or who was being interviewed, but I did hear someone recently talk about that, and about how there's truth, or I mean, I guess there's truth in both areas, but there are basic facts that everyone can see, if they're honest and looking at them. And then there's philosophy, which is our opinions about what should be done regarding those facts. And that's where, and some people don't really see the facts either, but that's where a lot of times, different worldviews, different religions, where that comes in, is we see what a problem is, and then philosophically we have disagreements on how to go about solving that problem. So that, I thought, when I heard it, was such a great way to talk about the problem I had with Atlas Shrugged and with Ayn Rand, is that she makes such good observations about the world, how it naturally works, how things go naturally in a society, what a lot of those problems are. She had really, really good observations about that I thought were so accurate. But then her philosophy about how to handle it was just so bad. Just from my perspective, it was very humanistic. It was very, I don't know, it was definitely not anywhere close to a Christian worldview. It was not, godly morality. It was just basically her view is that everyone needs to just, live their own lives for themselves, and living your life for other people is bad and evil and immoral. Like, well, I think where she and I would disagree is that I think there is a difference between what our duties are in different spheres, and we have different roles in different areas of society. So I think she would be mostly accurate when it comes to dealing with broader society and dealing, politically, things like that. We have different kinds of duty than you have, but then when it comes to your family and your community and on a personal level, then that's a different story. Like, it's okay to have different roles and different duties for different people and in different areas of life. But she seemed to apply some good, accurate observations she had about society and politics and